Thanks, Ovia. Good morning and welcome all to the session on inclusive finance, a new normal future. So, the Reserve Bank of India actually defines inclusive finance as ensuring access to vulnerable groups to financial products and services at an affordable cost. Now, inclusive finance is a priority for not just banks, central banks, major financial institutions, but also to governments around the world because it not only enables poverty reduction, but also promotes inclusive growth. Now, we had a session with Dr. Shamika Ravi in the morning where she talked about almost 90% of India's population now having a bank account. It's grown from almost 50% in the last 15 to 20 years. And this is impressive growth, but access to timely credit is still a problem, and that is a major issue that needs to be solved. Today, with us to explore what the challenges here are and explore certain solutions, we have Rajiv Lal, President PayPoint, and then we have Nikhil Kumar, founder and chief evangelist Setu. So, welcome Rajiv, welcome Nikhil. Now, Rajiv,
Yeah.
first question to you, right? So, you ran financial inclusion for a major bank in India before you came onto this role at PayPoint. And what I wanted to start with was like I can go use a QR code and pay my local roadside coconut seller. And Nikhil here, who created the Beam UPI app, made it easy as sending a WhatsApp message, right? Paying people. But why is financial inclusion still a major problem for people around the world and India particularly?
Okay. Thank you, Pawan. See, so far as financial inclusion is concerned, as you said, Madam Shamika Ravi told you that roughly about 90% of Indians have account already. But I mean, and if you go by family wise, almost every family has an account. So that way, I mean, most of India is banked. But otherwise, if you see, uh, and even if you talk of digital transactions, it has grown by leaps and bounds. But if you talk of, because we are talking mainly here of inclusive finance, I feel uh, there should be more focus on underbanked population than unbanked, because now unbanked population is not there. Underbanked, we have a huge underbanked population, and actually the poor, both urban and rural, they are credit starved. The primary issue is, non-availability of finance. There are very good MFIs, NBFCs, RRBs, cooperative banks, small finance banks, etc. They're doing good work in this area, but then these institutions have resource constraints, and mostly their operations are quite localized. Now there are commercial banks, but they have financial strength, but they don't have the reach. So this has been the problem. That is why in the interiors they have not been able to reach. But now, like a company like ours, PayPoint India, we have a huge distribution network in rural areas, and now we are, helping these commercial banks reach out to those unbanked areas, underbanked areas through our distribution network. We have about 65,000 plus, uh, touch points across India, in rural India especially. So that is how now things are changing. And especially, when the RBI came up with the idea of business correspondence, that was a radical change that affected financial inclusion in general. And in fact, it was a huge leap of faith for RBI and banks to initiate this business correspondent model. And this had to go with technology. Without technology, nothing could have happened. So technology also played a very major part in this.
Got it. Thanks, Rajiv. Yeah, you
Yeah.
talked about reach and how using technology to,
Yeah.
get to these unbanked and underbanked. Nikhil, do
Yeah.
you want to add? Because you're the technology expert here. So, what is your take on how to improve financial inclusion through technology?
I think we should think about this probably in like yeah, and I'm not a native into financial services, so I have a very engineering view of the world. But I think like every other industry which is getting impacted with technology and is transforming. I think that moment in time is here for financial services, right? So in the last 10 years, financial services in India has changed probably much more than, probably in the last 50 years, right? And I think the next 10 years is probably, or the next 5 years is going to change even more faster than what happened in the last 5 years. So I think this was inevitable that this would happen. I think what has been fascinating is the rate of change. So 5 years ago, if we were to say that, look, somebody near your house, like the tender coconut shop guy, is actually going to take digital payment, all of us would have been like, yeah, sure, it's very logical, right? Like, I mean, that's the pipe dream. The fact is that that pipe dream is being lived today. So and it same goes with like bank account creation. Like if 20 years ago if someone told India that banks have been around for a long time. RBI was set up in the 1935. All the public sector banks started with this mission of financial inclusion. The then prime minister nationalized banks in the name of financial inclusion. So the agenda is not new. Right. So the thing is that at what point in time in history have we made progress? Right. So, and that's typically how innovation really happens. Right. So the innovation life cycle is there are people who are working on this problem for a long time, and then there are certain breakthroughs that happen. And then afterwards, things get accelerated, whether it's the steam engine, whether it's, whatever else. So from that perspective, I think the right ingredients that's necessary for us to make the financial inclusion journey happen is in place. We have digital identity in the name of Aadhaar. We have e-sign infrastructure, we have payments infrastructure, and so on. So all of this is still like what I would call as the brick and mortar. Right now, you need to build a house, and then now you need to do interiors and stuff, and that's really the as sir was saying that that's the thing that you would do on the underbanked side. Now that everybody has a bank account, what is true financial inclusion? In the old world, if you talk to people who've been working on this, in different countries like Africa and Southeast Asia, they would say just giving a bank account is financial inclusion, because that was the bar, right? And that was really because that was the first thing that everyone had to do. I think we are in a point in time in India where now in this position where we are saying, okay, we have given a bank account to everybody. Now, how do we help people make progress in their life? How do we give them the societal, benefits? How do we give them a fabric of safety? By giving them the right credit products, by giving them the right insurance products, by giving them the right savings product. And that is what the next 5 to 10 years will be really about. That we have now set up the railroads, we have all this infrastructure in place. Like there is the digital, so many of you will probably know that there is like a product called Pygmy, where somebody goes and collects 5 or 10 rupees or 50 rupees as savings every day from small shopkeepers and so on. I think the moment of a digital Pygmy is here, right? And where you can now put 5 rupees, 10 rupees and start saving it, or you can buy an insurance in the morning for your for your trip for the day. So those are the kind of innovations that's expected to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's what's really exciting, because technology enables this sachetization of financial services. Getting like 1,000 rupee loan, getting a 5,000 rupee loan, that's the pipe dream now, right? And that's I think the major impact that that's where technology will have a major impact on how do we deliver these sachet sized financial products to people. and really now help them in their lives, right? Like how do we give them that, a lot of people need this shock absorber on life events that happens, in financial, because of financial services. So that's really what I'm very excited about for the next 5 to 10 years.
Great point, Nikhil. Yeah. You're right. See, technology and especially the acceleration of digital adoption, right? It's definitely provided more opportunities, but sometimes the way you look at a banker as a traditional view of banker as a manager or somebody who's risk averse, and managing risk is what a banker is actually paid for. So
Right.
Rajiv, whereas like adding on what Nikhil said, from the new opportunities with technology or with just like the BC model that you spoke about, right, where you're using local kirana stores as a banking module. How do you think these underbanked or unbanked people can get access to more products or more financial services, like the evolution life stages that Nikhil was talking about?
Yeah. Actually, you see, when anywhere, financial inclusion starts with liability products, with opening of accounts and things like that. And if you look at the journey, it all started early, but took real, got the pace after Aadhaar came into being. With Aadhaar, although it is not much talked about, there was something called Aadhaar Bridge Payment System, ABPS, through which DBT started, direct benefit transfer started. And that is how people started having money in their account. And then came AEPS, which allowed people to withdraw money just by using their thumb. So that is how it all started. And then came, eKYC through Aadhaar. So all these things have made life very simple for the bankers. And then, for transaction, UPI and IMPS and all those things came. So far as finance is concerned, now that, there are many things like, I was talking to you that there are small players, but now commercial banks have to come and actually give, that small size, small ticket bank loans, what Nikhil was talking about. So in that, two, three things will help a lot. One thing, and I'm talking mainly of technology, because you asked about technology. One thing is, uh, this account aggregator thing has come up, and RBI has started, and this is going to be a huge change. And then, you know, Oken, you may have heard of Oken. Oken is a wonderful initiative by India Stack. India Stack, I suppose all of you must be knowing. So through Oken, uh, I mean, Oken and account aggregator, these two things taken together, they will disrupt the inclusive finance market in a huge, huge way, I tell you. I know, I mean, because of the pandemic, there is a pandemic has kind of put a break on Oken. But, and otherwise too, Oken will take time because all kinds of APIs have to come together on that platform. And then account aggregator will get all kinds of data on the Oken system. So all these things, when they come together, then, people like us, PayPoint India, uh, who are the LSPs, loan service providers, they will be in a position to bring the banks or any financial institution, whether NBFC bank, and the consumer, the you know person who wants loan, they will come together, and the this person who wants a loan, he can kind of get a customized kind of a loan of, say, even 5,000, 2,000, 10,000. From, he will have an option to choose also from a number of banks. So we are going to that kind of a thing. So but that is in the future. Right now, if you talk of inclusive finance, many things, many very good things are happening. Self-help group is one huge thing that is happening in India, especially for Indian women. Although, there are gaps in even in self-help group experiment, it requires a lot of holding, because you are actually going to the women of the lowest strata of the society. So they don't know banking much. So they require a lot of hand holding. They require a lot of, guidance. So because those things are not happening, it is picking up a bit slowly. Then for MSME also and other things, uh, because now technology is enabling the banks to know more and more about the customers digitally, because data is available, you know so credit is now becoming more and more available, and of course affordable also to the people. So that is how I see in India, at least it is going to be, uh, with especially Open coming. I hope and pray that when it takes time, because all kinds of APIs have to come together on that platform. So that takes time. But when the full blown Open comes, I mean, it will be, what do I say? It will be a sea change in the inclusive finance market. So
Great
that is
point.
how
Yeah.
technology is going to play such a major role in financial inclusion. Already it has played, because BC network, where even for liability product, I tell you, nothing could have happened without technology. And I tell you one more thing. In fact, this BC network and uh, taking liability product to rural area, that almost forced the governments to create internet infrastructure even in rural areas, because without that it was impossible for uh, you know accounts to be opened digitally. So now most of the even rural areas, uh, with slight aberrations in hilly areas, most of them are well connected uh, through internet. Like I'm telling from my own personal experience, Paypoint India has opened around 3.5 million accounts across India, and we service those accounts exclusively at our centers. And
Got it.
huge, I mean, we carry a very big, those accounts. Earlier you may have heard that in those liability accounts they are zero balance accounts and things like that, but no, sir. Now average balance with us in an account is somewhere between 4,000 to 4,500, which for that kind of customer is a good amount.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rajiv. So, Nikhil, two things that Rajiv touched on. One was the OCA and the India stack, and then finally the APIs coming together, and you're the guy who kind of brings a lot of APIs come together, right? So, what's the role of fintechs and like all the neobanks that are coming up now in terms of either collaborating with existing financial institutions or like taking a path of their own?
So, so I think it'll be very useful to like kind of like think about this in this framework that all hard problems in life cannot be solved by individuals or individual institution, right? And it's always the collective that has to come together to solve hard problems. So for a long time, a lot of problem solving has been, or the traditional way of building businesses in the old world has been full stack, right? I'll be the manufacturer, I'll be the supply chain, I'll also be the customer experience thing, and that is how the world was, right? So like if you look at it, started probably with manufacturing, in supply chain like cars and automotives. People would manufacture, they'll distribute, they'll have their own showrooms and so on. Then as time progresses, you realize that you need to build an ecosystem of different people who are solving different problems and connect them together. Right? The supply chain industry itself has gone through this. Like if you go to a retail store, that's not an Hindustan Lever or a specific retail store, right? He's basically retailing what the end customer wants. So I think something kind of similar, that's the way to think about what's happening in financial services as well. That banks and financial institutions are extremely important because they are custodians of money, and that's probably that's why they're regulated, right? So a lot of people say, look, there is regulation and so on. Nobody really wants to ask the question behind the why behind the regulation, right? And the why behind the regulation is to ensure that you and I can sleep well in the night, that our money is safe. It's as simple as that. But we would want to say, oh no, regulation is stifling innovation and so on. So the banks and financial institutions are the manufacturing layer of financial product in some sense, and they are the custodians of money, whether it is assets or liabilities. And then there are people like us who are trying to build an infrastructure layer, and then there is the customer experience layer, which is the distribution layer, right? Neo-banking, in my opinion, is nothing but like a digital business correspondent, right? In fact,
True,
if
true,
you ask any neobank, their contract with the bank is actually as a business correspondent,
true, true.
right? The business correspondent model worked to provide neo-banking in a rural area, right? It's just funny. I can tell you this, that do you know who uses the most sophisticated banking system in the world today? It's the most poorest in India. Have you ever in your life withdrawn money using biometrics? Right? Today, we all talk, you and I, Pawan, we are still using cards. The poorest in India actually have the most advanced neo banking technology that you can actually put it's like in the movies, right? You still see that in the movies. They still show that, it's some 10, 15 years forward. All you have to do is drive 60 kilometers away from your city. You will actually see people are withdrawing money from their biometrics. So in some sense, I think, it's whether we want to call it, the venture capital wave or this market wave or whatever, the purpose of these people is to be serving the end customers better. And that's really the role of them, right? And why is this? The reason is because there is so much of fast-paced innovation that's happening on the customer experience layer. So more and more people can actually collaborate with the financial institutions to do so. The traditional model, the way banks did it was, I'm sure Sarah's opened lots of branches in his lifetime, right? So you would open branches and people would come there. And all these points are nothing but digital branches in some sense, right? And because it's software and not physical, the kind of design that you can do of your branch is very different. Right? So just to take a joke, nobody is going for lunch. So it's 24/7, it's available, you can go there. So in some sense, I think, if we break down all these terminologies and everything else, it really comes down to this very simple ideas or frame, like, if you think about it in the framework, that the person that you are keeping money with has to be regulated because you want to sleep well in the night. And then the person who's delivering that experience to you could be somebody else, right? And that's really the jugalbandi that's happening between banks and this thing. And like I said, the neo banking world is nothing but business correspondents, but serving for a different set of people. So that's the way I see this jugalbandi happening.
Yeah, great point, Nikhil.
Pawan, can I just chip in?
Yes, Rajiv.
I mean, Nikhil has put it so very well and so succinctly. It was really great. And when he was talking of, the futuristic kind of a banking at the lowest level, we may forget to carry card, but nobody can forget to carry his thumb along with him. Thumb will be always there with you, so you can So that is one. But at the same time, other than banking, you need to give them all kinds of products because in India, many most of the people have mobile phone. Many of them have smartphones, but they don't use it for digital transaction. For that, uh, for transaction, they still need the assisted mode. So that's why what we have done, other than banking, we also provide them, bill payment services, ticketing, insurance. You have to take insurance has such a low penetration, and insurance is something which is required for financial inclusion. We give them insurance. We give them even investment products like gold ETF. Villagers require all that. So this is how financial inclusion should work. Take the holistic approach. That is how we do it in PayPoint.
Perfect, Rajiv. I think that was a great closing remark because it covered everything that we wanted to know in terms of what is the future of financial inclusion, right? So it is about being holistic,
Yeah,
covering the needs of the customer, and as Nikhil said, working with the regulated body so that you can sleep well at
true,
night. So
true,
yeah,
true.
and hopefully it leads to an inclusive growth and more people are included, and the number of unbanked, underbanked are actually reducing year on year. So thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, Nikhil. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Pawan. It
Thank
was
you, Rajiv.
great. And thank you, Nikhil. It was wonderful interacting with both of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.